and then we will pass it off to the Directorate General Petroleum Concessions of Ministry of Energy, Petroleum Division, Government of Pakistan for their presentation.
Great. I'm just going to jump in really quickly, Jordan, just to introduce myself. My name is Margot McDonald, and I'm the Senior Trade Commissioner in Pakistan. And I lead the team of trade commissioners that Jordan just explained exactly what we do. You know, very simplistically, we are the liaison or the connectors, the matchmakers between all of these Canadian companies that I know are on the line and Pakistani companies. And we are really here to facilitate trade and investment, and please reach out to us and we will try to connect the dots. We've been doing a lot of work to build a network in Pakistan, and you can see by the quality of our presenters right now that over the last number of years we are working very closely with the Ministry of Energy in Pakistan, as well with OGDCL, which is the largest government-owned oil company, and private companies like PPL. And you will hear from all of those speakers today. So I will pass it over, but and Jordan, thank you very much for organizing. We will be here to answer questions, but just a huge thanks to all of the speakers for generously donating your time and in the spirit of increasing trade and investment between Canada and Pakistan in the oil and gas sector. So thank you, Pakistan Petroleum Limited, Mr. Moin Raza Khan, who is the Vice Chairman and CEO. Thank you so much, Mr. Khan, for joining us. And I think you're on mute right now.
Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm not the vice chairman. I'm managing director and chief executive officer. Okay, of Pakistan Petroleum. And Pakistan Petroleum is, by the way, it's not a private company. It's not a government company. It's not a public. It's a public sector company, listed public sector company with 70% share of the government of Pakistan. So you know we have a very unique setup run by the board of directors. So we are neither government nor private, but you know a public sector.
Great.
Anyway, can I go to the? Can you go to my set of slides, please? Hello.
I'm guessing Jordan is working on it.
Munsif Saab, mute kar de.
Is this the slide that you'd like?
I don't see any slide actually. This is the thank you slide which I see.
Yeah, Jordan, we're still seeing the last slide deck.
One moment.
Isn't this wonderful new world of you know, post-COVID webinars and engagement online wonderful? I hope you're with me that we're doing lots of learning, but you know, we have some highs and lows. So thank you everyone for bearing with us. And Jordan, now we see the cover page from the TCS.
Can't see my presentation yet.
No, we can't.
Problem really. Shall I?
Is
Shall I
going
start
now?
from no. Can I? I can share it from here.
Sure, it shows that I'm
Yeah,
sharing
okay.
it, so I'm not sure what's...
It's here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, basically, well, where is the full screen gone? Yeah, there was a full screen a little while ago. I can't see the.
We can see it on our side.
Oh God. Anyway, I think there is something wrong here. Yeah, okay, I can see it now. All right, so basically what I'm going to present here is the overview of the Pakistani E&P sector and opportunities. Some of it has been covered by Kashif very ably. He's a very knowledgeable director in the Ministry of Energy Petroleum Division, Directorate for General Petroleum Concessions. And so I will skip that part, which he has already covered. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. No. Yeah, that's the one. That's all. Oh, oops. Is this the next slide? No, the next slide was, it was before that. Something, I think there is a glitch here. Yeah, that's the one. Okay. If you look at this part, the map of Pakistan, this is the the entire onshore area and then part of offshore. Pakistan's territorial water is about 1/3 of the area of the onshore of Pakistan, which is onshore Pakistan is, I think we missed the first slide. Can we go back to the first slide, because that's important, because there's no. Pakistan facts and figures. No, it's not there. Anyway, okay, let me read it from here. Pakistan, well, go to the next slide. Yeah, Pakistan area, onshore area is about 81,000 square kilometer. This is 33rd in the world. Population is 212 million, as very close to what Kashif mentioned. Current oil production, he said that 80,000 barrels per day. Indigenous production is roughly slightly below 4 billion cubic feet per day, plus we import about 1.2 billion cubic feet of gas in the form of LNG. Our unconstrained demand is twice as much, and the constrained demand is probably, if we look at the infrastructure of the gas, it is about, the gas infrastructure can take another 1 BCF per day very easily. It's a matter of availability of the gas through LNG or the indigenous gas production. There are a number of projects which are in the pipeline through which the gas production is going to come, inshallah. If you look at the exploration history milestone, the history of Pakistan exploration goes back to the turn of the 19th century, actually. When this Khatan, if you look at this Khatan oil seepage, a lot of oil was produced from here by the government of the British, the British India at that time. And that was in 1885. The first well was drilled in Pakistan only few years after the first rotary well drill in USA. Like 6 or 7 years after that, the colonel called Drake, as they call it in Pennsylvania. So, and the first oil was discovered in Khor in 1915, 6 years before the first oil was discovered in Middle East, in Iraq, in 1921. So Pakistan has a very long, oil and gas history. But all of this thing was concentrated to the northern part, the focus area, that part, which is basically which contains about 66% of oil production. It contributes, and in the south, the oil production contribution is 33%. Most of it is gas. 59% of gas in the south, and the 20% of the gas is in the Middle Nile Basin, and 7% of the gas in the Kirthar fold belt of the mountain, the low hills of the Kirthar range, in the western part of Sindh, or part of Balochistan also, but the gas is in the Sindh. So if you look at this, there are many milestones, and these milestones basically depict that there were some new horizons, some new kind of discoveries were made, new plays were opened. Like this Hash Kheli 1981 is very important. The first oil was discovered by Union Texas Petroleum, which is now UEP in Pakistan, and that opened a new oil play in Pakistan in the south. Right now, at one point, it was producing more than 50% of the oil of the country. Right now, it has come down to 33%. but this was the first oil discovered by, and this really provided the impetus for the for further exploration, and the exploration activities were really skyrocketed after this. And there are so many other fields which are kind of opening new plays and all that. So that means continuously we have been opening new plays in the country. Similarly, this Manzalai field, which is 2002 by Mall, opened a new play in Kohat Plateau. Then recently we have made discoveries in December 2019, Pakistan Petroleum and Morgan in Kalat Plateau, in the 5th mountain range of Balochistan. During winter, it was all covered with snow, and it was raining. It was snowing when we were testing that well. It's an absolutely new play. It's located in the Kalat Plateau. It's a new play, and I'm sure that is going to open up, this area for exploration for the foreign companies also, if they are interested. And this is the gas that we've discovered. I don't want to give the the exact estimate, but the ballpark figure is something like about a TCF. It contains some nitrogen and carbon dioxide also, so it would need some the erection of a plant and the infrastructure also, because the terrain is very high. There's so this is a play that PPL opened in 2019. Actually, PPL has opened a lot of number of plays before also. If you look at this, if you look at this exploration history milestones. But okay, in the interest of time, I don't want to spend too much time on this slide. Next slide, please. Hello. Next slide. I think you got a PDF. If you had this. Anyway, yeah. Okay, yeah. This is a very important slide. This is a creaming curve of the cumulative hydrocarbon reserve for 20% onshore land area. Because in Pakistan, the exploration has been focused around the Indus River, to the east, to the west, and slightly in the Kithar Range and the Suleiman Fold Belt southern part. The first line of hills, and in the plains area of the Indus and Punjab plains, and the Potwar and Kohat, of course. So if you look at this diagram, this is basically on the y-axis is the cumulative recoverable reserves in million barrels of oil equivalent. So this gas, which is red, is being converted into oil equivalent, and this green is purely oil. So we have discovered so far about 1.4 or 1.5 billion barrels of oil, and the gas is about 10.8 or 10.9 billion barrels of oil equivalent. So that means Pakistan is by and large, this 25% of the area is gas prone. If you look at this graph, by 1959, we had discovered about 45% of Pakistan's gas, that has been discovered so far. As I mentioned earlier, that this 1981, if you look at the oil curve, the green curve, 1981 provided the impetus, after the discovery of oil in the south by Union Texas, exploration activities really skyrocketed, and a number of oil fields were discovered. And if you can see still, it hasn't reached the saturation point. When the curve becomes flat, that means the saturation point has reached. If you look at this graph, the red part of the graph, the last bit, which is about 45 degrees. So that means we are still discovering the gas, but we have made a large number of discoveries during this period of last 20 years, but the gas discovery size is diminishing. So in this 25% of the area, the exploration efforts are not resulting in the big discoveries. The Sui field in 1952 that was discovered by PPL, that provided the PPL was the pioneer, is the pioneer in the gas industries of the Pakistan. That provided it was discovered in the heart of the country, and provided the impetus for the development of the infrastructure in the whole country, from Sui to north, from Sui to south, and then Sui to west. And because of that infrastructure, all the subsequent fields that were discovered, they were also connected to the same system, of course, by enhancing the infrastructure. But the infrastructure, first basic infrastructure was built around the Sui, going right to the north, right to the south. The field is located right in the heart of the center. I call it gift from the God because in 1947, Pakistan came into independence, and the discovery was only 5 years after, made after only 5 years after the independence. And that's, that provided the lifeline for the energy for the country. Next slide, please. We have a lapse time lag here. And when we next go to the slides, next slide. Next slide, please. Wahab, do something. I think there is a lag in terms of, well. Now I can see the whole slide. It's a very important slide. That's just on. No, this is not right. Not right. Okay. Oh, that's a very important slide that's gone missing. Oh my God. Oh my God. Let me see. Let me see. Okay. From the previous slide, I just want to make one point, very important point, because that slide is missing from here. That in the until 20 years ago, the average gas discovery size in Pakistan was 400 BCF, about 4.4 TCF, which is a fairly good size fairly good size. But during last 20 years, the average gas field size is about 50 BCF or 55 BCF. But during last 10 years, it has come down to about 30 BCF. And during last 5 years, it has come down to 20 BCF in the 25% of the onshore area of the country. So that means, if you want to discover big reserves, although it hasn't reached the saturation point, still you have 45 degrees. Saturation point means that you are on the 0 degree or 180 degree for that matter. So that means that we still need to discover a lot of gas, but the size is not going to be big. So if you want to discover more gas, we'll have to move away from the central gas corridor that is located around the Indus Basin, right and left, and the Potwar and Kohat Plateau in the north, and Islamabad is basically, just to give you an idea, Islamabad is located in Potwar Plateau. So, when we talk about the frontier exploration, sky is the limit. And we talk about offshore exploration, 1/3 of the area of the country, of the onshore area is offshore, which is of more than 300,000 square kilometer. Only 18 exploration wells have been drilled, and of those, more than 50% wells did not, actually 60%, more than 60 or 70% wells did not reach the target. And the exploration in the offshore has not been very systematic. People have come, did the seismic in their block, drilled one well and walked away, and the activity stopped for about 8 to 10 years. Recently, we drilled a deep well in 1800-meter water depth. The well was drilled, of course, with a lot of hope, but it was a different play altogether. The focus should have been in a systematic way exploration in the shallow water offshore in the Indus Delta. Indus Delta is analogous to the world's large, very, producing deltas like Mahakam in Indonesia, the Mackenzie Delta in Canada, Mississippi Delta, the Gulf of Mexico in USA, the Nile Delta in Egypt, and the Niger Delta and all of these deltas have yielded huge oil and gas reserves to the tune of tens of billions of barrels. Actually, in some of the deltas it goes up to 50 billion barrels. So the Pakistani E&P industry is basically so far we have done only conventional exploration, no frontier region so far. The potential lies in the deeper potential reservoir within the known play area. The offshore is wide open, and with perfect analog to the producing deltas of the world. The Indus Delta is a perfect analog of the producing deltas of the world, and I can name like 24 deltas which are producing. I just named a few, which are important. Unconventional gas, tight gas, shale gas, which has changed the whole scene in the North America, USA and Canada both, especially in USA. We haven't touched upon it. It has been established, and there is a lot of tight gas and shale gas potential in Pakistan. A number of studies have been done, but unfortunately, the economics and the service sector has not been developed, and the economics does not support that. In the USA, even $2 to $3 per MMBTU makes money. In Pakistan, we have to go a much higher gas price, but the service sector has to be developed. Is the in the tight gas and the shale gas both is the technology plus the price and the economies of scale that really determine the acceleration in the activities. As these things come down, as USA has learned during last 30 years of tight gas and shale gas exploration, initially their cost was also very high, but now they have really come down. So, but that is provided by, because the shale gas is basically produced in an assembly line concept. You keep drilling well, you have about 20 rigs operating. So, that kind of infrastructure or that kind of service sector is not available in Pakistan. But the potential is huge. You know why? It's very important. So far, we have discovered about 60 trillion cubic feet of gas and 1.2 billion barrels of oil. So that means there is a huge amount of source rock. Only 10% of the source rocks generated hydrocarbons reach the reservoir and form the trap. So that means a lot of hydrocarbon have been retained in that source rock. And that source rock forms the shale gas and the shale oil. So that means a lot of potential is there. If that source rock has generated so much oil and gas, then I would say 10 times of that is present in the shale and tight gas. So that thing is already present. I mean, I am positive about it. I mean, well, not positive, 100% sure about it, that whatever we have discovered so far, at least 10 times of that is present in the shale and shale gas, in the shales, in the form of gas and oil. Next slide, please. This is a bit difficult for people to understand. It's basically a spiral diagram. Can we move a little bit further? Yeah, it's a spiral diagram starting from the formation of Earth about 4.5 billion years ago, and then it's just moving, and different phenomena have happened in Pakistan. The mountain in the world also in the world actually. The mountain building, different animals and all that. The dinosaurs really ruled this earth for about 200 million years, from 270 to about 70 million years ago. And then, again, and then we come to the tertiary period and all that. And if you look at this thing, blue fonts and the red fonts, we have the hydrocarbon system present from 1 billion years ago up to this formation, the Miocene, which is about 5 million years ago. So we have petroleum system spread all across the geological time scale to covering the entire period of 1 billion years. And we have plenty of source rock ranging in age from the about 7 to 800 million years old to about 60 million years old of this source rock, this Patala formation, which is the last one. If you go rightward, because the spiral is moving anti-clockwise. So and the blue are the reservoir rocks, and they are also spread all over the geological time scale, ranging in age from 540 million years ago right up to the age of 5 million years ago of Miocene. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Well, I can't see the full slide. This is basically the, the sedimentary basins of the country. 4 sedimentary basins, 2 onshore basins, Balochistan and Indus. Balochistan basin is not Balochistan province. Balochistan basin is the subset of the Balochistan province. That means part of Balochistan is Indus basin also, like gas fields in the Balochistan province are in the Indus basin. Okay, so in the Indus basin there are a number of sub basins, Kohat, Potwar, and Punjab, and blah 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 blah. And then this Balochistan basin is the second basin, which is in the west. You can see in the this mustard color. And then there are 2 offshore basins. One is the Indus offshore, and the other the Makaran offshore. The Indus offshore offer much greater potential in terms of the Indus delta, as I indicated earlier. Next slide, please. There's a lag in the slide. Change. Actually, that's really killing a lot of time. Gosh, it's not moving. There's a lag here. I've got a 40 MB internet connection in Pakistan.
I'm sure we can blame Canada somehow. I see.
Actually, Kashif, when he was telling about, he was talking about this location of Pakistan. There is one thing that I want to highlight, that in Pakistan the time right now is about it's like 8:05 p.m. and in Canada in the East Coast it would be 11 a.m. in the morning. And the Calgary would be probably 7. No, not 7. It'd be like 9 or something. 9 p.m. 9 a.m.
It's well, it's okay. Morning time here, depending where you are. It's
okay.
Coming up to noon.
We are on. So that means we are just on the other side of Calgary, if you say so. So this COVID has taught us that this world has really become borderless, and in this COVID situation, PPL did work seamlessly from home, from office. Like 80% of the people working from home. So this has taught us that there is absolutely no border in the world. We can get the work done from Norway, from anywhere, to the consultancy and all that. So I mean, this is amazing. This is really amazing. I've conducted many webinars. Actually, in one webinar, there were 3,000 people present there. Okay, wow. So this is a diagram. This is the diagram showing the people who are not very technical will not understand this. So I will just, for sake of for those the convenience of those people, I'll just say this is the time scale. Geological time scale from Precambrian to Pleistocene. That means from more than 1 billion years old up to the recent time. So Pakistan's rocks are spread all across the geological ages, which is not very usual really for the entire world. I mean, not all the countries have it. We have the system of the geology present right throughout the geological time scale, and the time scale goes back to 4.5. The basins, these different colors like green and red and the orange and the cyan color. These are different basins. You can see the oil and gas system is present. SR is source rock, and the those circles with the star kind of thing. They are the presence of hydrocarbons. And the greens are where the fields are present. So you can see a number of fields, all across. Like in the middle and lower Indus and offshore Indus basin, you can see the field. The fields are really located in the Eocene and Paleocene, and this is the area where we have this giant discovery of Sui that was made in 1952. 70 years have elapsed. Still, by far the largest gas discovery in Pakistan, a giant gas discovery. Isn't it the gift? Anyway, okay, next slide, please.
Just as we're waiting for the slide, Ms. Marween, let me just, since we are borderless, but we're not timeless, and I do know that our colleagues at OGDCL are patiently waiting and probably to have their dinner too.
So what I will do is that I'll cover all the next slides. Probably 2 or 3 slides are left, not more than that.
Thank you.
Probably in probably 1 minute or 1.5 minutes, if you allow.
Thanks so much.
What I'm identifying here are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These are the areas where the potential, where there is room for growth in Pakistan exists. These are untouched areas. These are unspoiled areas in terms of the exploration activity. So this is, these are the areas where we need to be focused. These are the areas which with zero or almost negligible exploration. So Pakistan is probably one of those areas in the world where little exploration has been done and almost no exploration, 18 wells and 300,000 square kilometers offshore. Next slide, please. I think that, I'm speaking pretty fast, but the slide change takes more time. Okay, this is the discovery that we have made very recently. Look at the snow here. This seems like a discovery in the Rocky Mountains. We are thinking of putting up a hill station there, because this is a fairly good size discovery. Once this discovery is developed, this is and it is going to serve the promise of Balochistan, which is not as developed as the other part of the world, part of the country, because the promise is huge, and the population is small. The areas, settlements are located far apart, so it will take a little while. But I think this is going to provide an impetus and the economic activity in that area, And this is a play that PPL opened up, and hopefully the international oil companies will follow the suit, because a PPL, of course, we have taken the lead, we have taken the challenge. We have spent the money and ventured in the frontier exploration, which is high risk but high reward. Now we have proved something. Now it's up to the companies around the world to look at this and reap on this and capitalize on this. Thank you. Next slide, please. Probably, I think just 2 or more slides. I'll not cover more. I'll speak very fast. Just the important thing. The offshore, I've already covered. That there's a huge amount of offshore, that huge area of offshore which is unexplored. What this is showing is not just Pakistan territory. It is showing the entire offshore which is beyond the Pakistan territory, and this shows that the Indus Delta is the Indus Delta and fan system is the 2nd largest in the world. And this here showing in the blue, if you see Niger, Mahakam, these are the major deltas which have been producing, but it's an ETC, etc. There are more than 2 dozen deltas that have the production in the world. Next slide, please. I'm sorry that, I don't know. Well, I already touched upon this. I will just quote some figures from the next slide. Please go to the next slide, please. I just quote the figures because I've already touched upon this, that there is a huge potential for the tight gas and the shale gas. The technology is the key. The price is the key. The development of the service sector is the key. Because if we develop the service sector, if we provide the price incentives or tax holidays for the first 5 or 10 years, naturally the service sector will develop. If we provide the tax holidays, if we increase give high gas price, of course, in the larger scheme of things, it will not really matter much to the government, but will provide the incentive to the companies. So eventually the price or the cost will come down, and the cost will come down, the activities really will pick up. Next slide, please. So this is our tight gas. Next is shale gas. I've already touched upon that. You know, there is huge potential of shale gas, and the premise is that we have discovered so much of oil and gas already. So the source rock of that gas and oil is basically the shale gas and shale oil. So I have absolutely no issue in that, you know. But of course, again, we need a lot of incentivization from the government in terms of tax holidays and all that. But yes, yeah, you know, the activity has to start now, immediately. Next slide, please. But look at the potential: 100 trillion cubic feet and 10 to 14 billion barrels of oil. Now here, you know, I'm not going to bore you guys, because OGDCL is also going to present their farm-in opportunities. My farm out opportunities are located. They are there on the website of PPL, which is ppl.com.pk. And this is my email address and my cell number. You can take it from here. This is my deputy, the coordinating general manager, exploration new venture. His email address is also given there. This is PPL address. Unfortunately, you could not put there the PPL website address, but I'm telling you that it's www.ppl.com.pk, and PPL's farm out opportunities are available there, along with the brochure and some details. And if you want to connect with us, we can provide you more and more details, even the access to our data room. So we are open to any farm-ins. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moin. It's very clear that you are very passionate about this topic, and you're very knowledgeable, and I just love your energy. So thank you so much.